I still remember that morning with a kind of crystal clarity that only fear can sharpen. The day began so quietly, so normally, that I almost mistook it for peace. I made my coffee, fed the cat, and watched the sunlight creep across the kitchen floorboards. Nothing seemed out of place until the phone rang. It wasn't a friendly ring. It was sharp, urgent, like a sound that already knew bad news. "Ms. Rowan," a man's voice said.
Calm.
Official.
Too calm.
"This is Officer Delaney from the city's security bureau. Are you currently at home?" "Yes," I whispered. "I live alone." A pause stretched long enough to make me nervous. Then his tone shifted, more formal, practiced. "At approximately 11:47 a.m., an emergency alarm was triggered on the third floor of your building. A coordinated attack occurred. You were reported missing from the scene. For your safety, and for questioning, we need to locate you immediately." "Questioning?" I echoed. My pulse stumbled. Why would I be questioned? He hesitated, as if he had to weigh each word before setting it free. "Evidence was recovered near the site. Items belonging to you." I froze. Items belonging to me? That's when I remembered Gabriel. His pale face the day before, the trembling in his hands as he told me, "Don't go to work tomorrow." Someone had been planning something. And somehow I was a part of it, either the target or the excuse. "I'm telling you I wasn't there," I said, trying to steady my voice. "Someone must have cloned my key card." There was silence then. The footage from the parking lot is partially corrupted. We see her car enter the building garage. Plates visible, but the driver's face is obscured. My heart began to hammer. Whoever did this had access to my car, or an identical one. My identity hadn't just been stolen. It had been rewritten. I peeked through the blinds, half expecting to see someone watching from the street. Before I could ask more, the officer added, "Units are en route to your address. Please remain inside." Remain inside. Something about those words made my stomach twist. If Gabriel warned me not to go to work, and now the police were coming, maybe they weren't coming to protect me. Maybe they were coming to collect me. As soon as the call ended, I locked every door and pulled the curtains tight. The air felt heavier, charged with a dread that hummed beneath the silence. I thought back to the strange moments I'd brushed off over the past month. A black car that parked outside too long, emails from unknown senders asking if I'd be on site Tuesday, the faint sense that my drawers had been moved while I was out. It wasn't paranoia. It was preparation. Then came the knock.
Sharp.
Controlled. 3 times. Not the knock of a worried neighbor. Not the desperate pounding of someone in trouble. A deliberate, professional rhythm. I didn't move. I held my breath. Then a voice called through the door. "Norma, it's Gabriel. Please, open up. We need to talk." Gabriel. I edged closer, but didn't unlatch the lock. "How did you know the police called me?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "Because," he said softly, "they're not coming to help you. They're coming to put you in federal custody. You were never supposed to wake up in your own bed today." My knees nearly gave way. "What are you talking about?" "They staged the attack to eliminate everyone in that building," he said quickly. "And you were supposed to be there, not as a victim, but as the one they'd blame. Now, they need you alive just long enough to confess to something you didn't do." A chill rolled through me like ice water. Someone out there wanted to erase me and rewrite me as the villain. Whatever was happening wasn't about the building at all.
It was about me.
I opened the door a crack. Not because I trusted Gabriel completely, but because I trusted my fear even less. He stepped inside, eyes scanning the corners like he expected shadows to move. "They'll be here any minute," he said. "When they arrive, they'll declare this house a crime scene. You need to go."
Now.
I folded my arms, my voice trembling.
Why?
"Why me? What's going on?" Instead of answering, he went to the kitchen window and looked outside. Then he turned to me, his voice lower. "I didn't move into this neighborhood by chance, Norma. Your father asked me to watch over you." The words hit like a punch. My father? No, my father was an accountant. Gabriel shook his head. That was his cover. He was part of a covert investigation, one that lasted nearly 20 years. And you were part of the reason. What does that even mean? He reached into his coat and pulled out a small black envelope. He knew this day would come. He left this for you. My fingers trembled as I opened it. Inside was a handwritten note, my father's neat script staring back at me. Norma, if you are reading this, then what I feared has come to pass. You are not in danger because of what you did, but because of who you are. There is more to your identity than you know. Trust Gabriel, as you once trusted me. Do not surrender yourself. If they take you in, you will disappear. The word disappear bled into my mind like ink in water. Gabriel's eyes met mine. They're not just framing you. They're reclaiming you. Reclaiming? I repeated. He nodded. You were never a civilian, Norma. Your birth wasn't random. Your identity was constructed. Your father uncovered a classified biogenetic program, one involving powerful families and experimental gene tracing. When he refused to help them, they silenced him. His death wasn't an accident. I stared at him, shaking my head. You're saying my father was murdered? He tried to expose the project. When they couldn't control him, they erased him and planned to erase you next. But when they realized you could serve as a scapegoat, they kept you alive. My stomach twisted. To use me how? As a symbol. They needed a believable suspect, someone ordinary. If they label you a national threat, they can seize every file tied to your father's work and bury the truth forever. From his pocket, Gabriel pulled a metal keycard embossed with a red emblem. This is the only proof left. A vault your father built in an undisclosed facility. It holds encrypted data naming everyone behind the project. If you reach it before they reach you, his truth lives. If not, his life's work dies with you. I stared at the keycard, then at the note in my trembling hands. All my life, I thought I was invisible, ordinary, replaceable. Now I realized I had never been invisible. I had been watched. Watched because I was the last piece of a puzzle someone powerful wanted to destroy. Then, faint at first, I heard it, the distant whine of approaching sirens. Gabriel's jaw tightened. They're here. The sirens grew louder, bouncing off the narrow streets like a countdown to the end of everything I thought I knew. Gabriel looked at me with the steady urgency of someone who had run out of time before. Back door, he whispered.
Now.
We slipped through the kitchen, past the dim light that leaked through the curtains. I could already see flashes of red and blue against the window panes, too close. The moment we stepped outside, the cold morning air hit my face like a slap. Where are we going? I asked, clutching the envelope to my chest.
To the vault, he said.
Your father hid it somewhere only you can access.
How?
He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he pulled a small tracker from his pocket and smashed it beneath his boot. They can't trace us if we move fast enough. We climbed into a rusted pickup parked behind the alley. As we drove off, I looked back at my house, at the place that had always felt safe. Agents swarmed the porch like shadows in formation. Within seconds, they were inside. Everything I had ever owned was now evidence in someone else's story. The road ahead wound through the industrial district, empty except for a few flickering streetlights. My hands trembled in my lap. Why me? I finally asked. If my father knew all this, why didn't he tell me? He tried, Gabriel said. You were 12 when the first attempt on his life failed. He kept you in the dark to protect you. But when he realized the agency he worked for had turned against him, he left clues, encoded messages hidden in your childhood drawings, old cassette tapes, even your school projects. I stared at him in disbelief. You're saying my whole childhood was some kind of coded message? He nodded. You just never knew you were being taught how to find the truth. We drove for what felt like hours, though it couldn't have been more than 30 minutes. Every streetlight looked the same, every turn another loop in a nightmare that refused to end. Finally, we stopped near an abandoned research facility. Its gate hung crooked, the sign half peeled and sun-bleached, Lincrest Biotech Laboratories. I recognized the name instantly. My father had worked there before his so-called transfer to finance. The front doors were chained, but Gabriel guided me to a service entrance. He swiped the red emblem keycard. The lock clicked. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the faint hum of old machines still connected to a dying power line. "This place shouldn't have electricity," I whispered. "Exactly," he said. "Someone kept it running." We descended a flight of stairs into a sub-basement lined with servers and flickering monitors. My heart pounded as the stale air grew colder. "Your father's vault is here," Gabriel said, stopping before a steel door with a biometric panel. "It's coded to your DNA. Touch the pad." My hand hovered over the panel. "What if it doesn't recognize me?" "It will," he said quietly. I pressed my palm against the scanner. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a green light flashed. The door unlocked with a low hiss. Inside was a small room, a single metal desk, an old projector, and a briefcase marked with my father's handwriting. I stepped closer and opened it. Inside were data drives, photos, and a sealed letter. My fingers trembled as I tore it open. "Norma, if you've come this far, then you've already seen what they are capable of. The truth is not what it seems. You were not created by accident. You are proof that their experiment worked. They used you as a vessel for genetic memory transfer. Half of who you are was designed to carry knowledge I could never safely publish. That knowledge lives inside you. Protect it. Use it. But never let them use you." The paper slipped from my hands. "Genetic memory transfer?" I whispered. Gabriel nodded. "That's why they need you alive. You carry data encoded in your biology, data your father hid where they'd never think to look." I stumbled backward. "So, I'm not even real?" He stepped forward gently. "You are. You're just more. You're what your father created to save humanity from what they were doing." "What were they doing?" I demanded. He hesitated. "They were building a system that could predict and control human behavior. A surveillance network linked, not by machines, but by bloodlines. People like you were meant to be living keys, capable of unlocking that power." I covered my mouth. "And he turned me into one?" "He turned you into the safeguard," Gabriel said. "The system can't activate without your consent. That's why they framed you. If you disappear, the last safeguard vanishes." The room seemed to spin. Every sound felt amplified, the hum of the servers, the throb of my pulse. Then, faintly, I heard boots above us. "They found us," Gabriel whispered. He pulled a pistol from his jacket and handed me the keycard. "Take the drives. There's a tunnel behind the storage crates. Follow it to the end and destroy what's inside the briefcase once you're safe. It's the only way to stop them." "What about you?" He gave a small, tired smile. "I'll hold them off. That's what your father would have wanted, Gabriel." But before I could say more, the upper door burst open. Shouts echoed down the stairwell. "Go!" he yelled. I ran. My footsteps thundered through the corridor as light beams swept the walls behind me. I found the tunnel, a narrow passage leading into darkness. I crawled through it, dirt scraping my hands, the sound of gunfire echoing faintly behind me. When I finally emerged, I was behind the facility, near a line of dead trees. Smoke curled from the roof. I clutched the briefcase, heart racing, as I heard helicopters in the distance. I ran until my legs gave out. Hours later, I found myself at an old bridge overlooking the river. The briefcase sat beside me, silent and heavy with secrets. I opened it one last time. Inside the drives were labeled with phrases: Project Ether, Subject Lineage, Phase Eclipse. I knew destroying them meant erasing proof of everything my father sacrificed his life for. But keeping them meant they could be used again against others like me. I pulled the lighter from my pocket, flicked it open, and watched the flame dance. "Some truths," I whispered, "aren't meant to be controlled." The fire caught the edges of the papers first, then spread across the drives, devouring every secret they'd tried to bury inside me. By sunrise, nothing was left but ashes and the faint smell of burnt metal. I walked away with nothing but the memory of my father's words echoing in my head. Truth is only dangerous when it belongs to the wrong hands. That day, I learned that not all monsters hide in the dark. Some wear badges, some hold titles, and some sign contracts with the promise of progress. And the moral? Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is destroy what others call truth, if keeping it alive means losing your soul. I never saw Gabriel again. I don't know if he survived. But every time I hear a siren in the distance, a part of me still listens for the sound of his voice telling me to run. And every morning, when I look in the mirror, I remind myself of one thing. I am me. Even if they tried to rewrite the story, this ending is mine. Be careful what truths you chase. Some were never meant to be found.